Rose Servitova, welcome to O'Mahony's Talking Books.
Yeah, Caterina, how are you? Thank you very much for having me here as well. And it's an honour and a privilege, to be honest.
So we're here in the midst of lockdown,
Yeah.
hopefully seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And I just wanted to reach out and find out about your lockdown experience and how it's been treating you. What's been happening for you?
It's another form of reaching out at a time that's relatively lonely for a lot of us, and really appreciate it. I'm finding that whole side of things quite fun now. I'm not into it from a kind of a school WhatsApp, Zoom type, or work. I'm not really a fan of that, but I'm enjoying for books and literary events and all that sort of thing. I'm finding that really great. Webinars and all sorts of things that are happening online. Thanks a million for having me. So, do you want me to kick off what's been going on?
You tell me what it's been like for you.
Well, first of all, apparently the pandemic is my fault. My daughter has claimed, and also she said to me when I was coming on this call, are you filming in front of the books to make you look smart? And I said, well, she's got a point. This is actually the playroom.
Oh,
That is just a shelf, right? Everything around me now, I've got tin whistles and homework and piggy banks and walkie-talkies. The place is like a bomb hit. If I actually swiveled this, it wouldn't look anyway like a home office or something like that. But she's so smart. She's like, you want to look smart, you're filming it in front of the bookshelves. So
dead
like,
right.
yeah.
Best face forward.
Yeah. I even put perfume on, and she was like, why are you putting perfume on? Like, because I don't usually wear makeup a lot, especially during lockdown. Planet of the Apes time, let it all hang out, let it all go. But yeah, so it's been a funny time. There is no doubt about it. My daughter said that and she had a point. I had been asking the universe for more family time. That's what she said. You asked the universe for more family time, now you've got it. And it was a case of, I hadn't seen how on the hamster wheel, I was complaining a lot that I didn't have work-life balance. We're all working and we might have nothing to show for it at the end of the month, and running and racing with young kids and just wheeling and dealing and stress. And yet when you look at it, you'd always say, well, we can't get rid of that, or I can't cut that out. And everything seemed as important as everything else. And then overnight, the pandemic plugged us out of the wall, and we realised we didn't need any of it at all. And there was no need for half the running and racing and that. And it just, it kind of was like put the pause. She kind of had a good point. But also, I had been, and I'll just show you now, I do tend to do meditation a little bit every day. And I suppose over the last year or so, I've been kind of noticing that I had been buying these kind of books. This one is called Forest Bathing.
Oh, lovely. I know it.
Forest Bathing, yeah. Then this was given to me by Niall MacMonagle. It's called Slow Time. 100 poems to take you there.
Fab.
Watch the theme. Find a theme. Daring to Rest, about yoga nidra. Slow at Work. Right, so that's a clever book. How to Work Less, Achieve More, and Regain Your Balance in an Always-On World. And obviously I have had this good few years. This is Now is the Time, Spiritual Reflections by Sister Stan.
Oh,
so
lovely.
funnily enough, over the last probably 12 months or so, I had been, kind of, I suppose, feeling the struggle of like trying to get the balance right, never feeling, time poor, I suppose, and struggling with that. And then all of a sudden this happened. And now I do work frontline. I am working 3 days a week. I work as a job coach for people with special needs, but in the current situation, I was redeployed to a residential setting. So I'm there 3 days a week, and I work from home 1 day a week then with my other role as a job coach. So 3 days a week, I'm out there. And yeah, it was very scary, I suppose. Kind of afraid of, you could, on a personal level, being honest, you're also afraid of what will happen when this is all undone. We can't actually go back to where we were because of our numbers and where we did and how we were set up and the group dynamics and all that sort of thing. So we're kind of wondering, well, what will happen to the service we provide, and then what will happen to the individual staff? I'm no longer who I was. Will that role still be there? And all that sort of thing kind of kicks in as well. But I suppose
stress.
Yeah, stress. And especially at the beginning, I'm sure everyone was finding weird and wacky dreams. and just a lot of probably fear, apocalyptic dreams almost, and kind of worry about where it'll go, how it'll end up, and all those images, especially I think from Italy and that, you know, just horrible.
Very much.
And where we headed that way. And I had my son, I can't remember because I had an ear infection too with myself, and I was talking to my GP over the phone because obviously there was no walk-in surgery at the time. And he had me practically lined up. We were literally 2 weeks behind Italy, and I really, from what he was saying and what he was expecting, what they were preparing for, expecting it to be horrendous. It is horrendous. It still is. And there's, you know, been just so many deaths, but it's been, you know, it's a horrible time, really. So that's how I had been spending my time. But that being said, I did, as my daughter said, had more family time. In the midst of that, I do spend a little bit more time at home. I think the weather has made the world of difference as well.
We have been blessed. We've been so blessed with that.
Yeah.
Definitely. So your kids have been obviously doing their schoolwork at home as well then the whole time?
Kind of self-directed a little bit. Like we do get the homework.
Yes.
And when I'm out, I'm at work, you know, my son is getting very fun homework. There's a lot of kind of online stuff and links to YouTube videos and all that. So he's enjoying that. And my daughter, unfortunately, she's finding it a little bit tougher because
what ages are they?
6 and almost 9. So yeah, so that's it. So yeah, they're doing great. I mean, they're a little behind on the homework, but not too bad, you know.
But like in the bigger scheme of things, you know.
Absolutely. I think they won't get this time again for the rest of their lives, you know. Really, from an education point of view, they're, you know, when the weather is so beautiful outside, I want them to be outside where possible. So a bit of homework, but not, you know, it isn't a priority in my opinion. And
like you say, it's balance, you know, and they're getting a different kind of education.
Yeah, they have, so. And, you know, it's amazing. Yeah, they'd amaze you actually how good they have been and how patient and how tolerant. And, you know, I just don't know. I don't think I could do, like they have not been outside our home more or less for 10 weeks or so, 10 or 11 weeks, you know.
Isn't it gas? Kids are so resilient.
They're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. They surprise me all the time. They're just, wow. Yeah, they're brilliant. And I'm just so glad we have the weather so that they are able to be outside and enjoy, go for walks and that, you know, it means the world. So another thing I attempted doing, Caterina, which I'm a terrible cook. I'm not good at baking, especially. I have a sister who bakes.
Okay.
But I didn't know what it was. What happened there in the beginning, especially that first month or 6 weeks. It's like, on a global level, we all started baking. I don't know, like even if it hit me, and it wasn't because I was influenced on Facebook or anything like that, and just there's something innate happened, like it was something primal. It was like, I must start baking. And I noticed some of my friends were planting, you know, as well, like planting food and planting herbs, and maybe there was that sense of, well, we should be more self-sufficient or something. Yeah. There was something that kicked in. So even I baked, and I had this book which was given to me by a great friend called Barbel, and it was a dinner with Mr Darcy. So it's actually recipes from from 200 to 250 years ago.
Fab.
Amazing. And there is a recipe here for English muffins, and I, honest to God, I sat down at about 17 of them. I'll show you a picture there now.
Oh, they look amazing.
And then there's the bath bun and just, you know, how to make hot chocolate. Just various different, like savoury and sweet pies, pigeon pie. Not that I tried that one.
So things that they would have eaten back in Jane Austen's time.
These recipes were taken from recipe books.
Wow.
Back, you know, from this one out, for example, gingerbread. I'll just see where that one came from. I'm usually at just, Martha Lloyd's household book. So Martha Lloyd lived with Jane Austen. So it was actually out of the recipe book that she has. I have a copy of that downstairs somewhere as well. Ooh. So like these recipes were from that time. And it's a fantastic book. And I just found it so lovely. Oh, just such a pleasure. It just was lovely to be baking. So I really enjoyed that.
That's fun.
So, and of course there was cancelling of events as well. And, you know, I was very lucky because I was in the Limerick Literary Festival, which
Yes.
was the end of February, kind of literally just before everything kicked off. So thankfully I got that in. Now, a few events that I was to attend over the summer in Chawton, and then the festival I was to appear at in Bath. So that was the Jane Austen Festival in Bath in September. That's been cancelled. So there was a few of them. I have a couple still left in October, November, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they might go ahead, but it's hard to know, they mightn't.
And how, if they do, like, would you feel, because I was talking about this last night with my boyfriend about traveling overseas, like, would you feel comfortable? Because I vary on day to day, you know, depending on when it is.
Yeah. I think there's something in me. I'm like, if you were talking to the old me, right, the me that travelled, I travelled on September 11th, right? It was actually said the morning of September 12th when I travelled, right, on a round world trip at the time. And I also travelled in very dangerous countries, and I've had really weird things happen to me. I was actually held hostage in South America, and it was very different. This is years ago, like, and when I was crazy. So that kind of side of me would always say, to hell with everything. I always, you know, if I was going somewhere, risk didn't ever stand in the way. But right now, there just seems to be something really natural about accepting and going with things. And I don't feel any resistance, even when those events were cancelled. I have to say, hand on heart, I didn't even feel disappointed. I was disappointed for the organisers. I was disappointed, you know, from one little side of me that just loves talking about writing and stuff like that. But it was so expected and so, you know, normal to kind of be okay about it. You know, it just absolutely had no hissy fit here now. It's total acceptance. And I tend to travel if I can at all, and I totally accept that I probably won't be going anywhere this year, definitely. And even next year, we'll see. My husband's from the Czech Republic, so we generally go there every year. So maybe next August, if we can, that'd be just, you know, but who knows? Who knows?
Exactly.
Like, you know, maybe by early next year, it might be okay to take a little sneaky trip over to Bath or over to the UK.
And exactly, it's next door. It's you know, it kind of feels a bit safer, for want of a better word, you know.
I'm not fearful of travelling, though. I'm not. I just don't feel the need in this point in time. I just feel I'm just totally okay with just accepting that things have slowed down, wound down, things have been cancelled. You know, I don't feel this urge to kind of to go somewhere at the moment. And maybe the weather again is a big part to play in it. You know, it's beautiful here. Like, you know.
And tell me, those festivals, were they fully cancelled, or did they move any aspect online, or did they, you know, look at that?
Well, let me see now. Well, I'll just give you an example. The Jane Austen Festival in Bath was fully cancelled. However, I was to give a talk on my own, let's say, and then there was a second day, the following day I was going to be on a panel. And now it looks like the panel will probably be going online by way of a Zoom call again or something like that. That's the exact same lineup. And I'm not sure exactly what time of the year. Will they still try and hold at that time of the year, or they might bring it forward or something. But so that aspect of it can happen anyway. That can go ahead. And these are authors from America, the UK and Ireland, obviously, in that. So that's great. I'm delighted with that. But I suppose, you know, some festivals, it's, you know, it's, they're a theatre, you know what I mean? They're taking place in theatre, or definitely with the Jane Austen side of things, they're costume, and it's promenades and dances and balls, which definitely can't go ahead. So,
of course,
you know,
it's a more sensory experience.
Linus Book Club Festival 2 years ago, and snow, if you remember, that terrible, the whole country came to a standstill. So it can happen anyway. You know, we can plan something, and you just don't know.
You have to be prepared.
Gosh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that was one thing, cancelling events. I love walking, so I'm getting more walks in, and again, 100% to do with the weather. Getting more walks in. Last year, I have we have to take our holidays in my place of work in August. Kind of, you know, it's a lockdown type thing. I have to do it. I hate taking it in August. I hate taking it in August, and it's on the record now. I hate it. Never liked it. August to me is already the autumn. It's getting dark. It didn't stay dry for 2 days together last August. I can vouch for that.
I remember it was horrendous.
It rained and rained. And, you know, so that's the way it is. Like, so last year I didn't feel I got a summer at all. I didn't feel I got the sun. I didn't feel, you know, I just didn't feel, I wasn't walking probably, and I wasn't out and about, and I had an injury as well, and just things like that were kind of holding me back a bit. But this now, I'm back to my walks. I love my walks.
Oh, lovely.
And so yeah, love that, going walking all the time. So I'm doing more of that, and I am getting to a bit of meditation every day and that, so that's good. And I'm writing at the moment, which it's very early stages of a particular book that's in my head. And now I've got to a certain stage before, and it's like hasn't happened.
Okay.
Like sometimes you can have something, you can put the research in and you can put whatever, and then it just dies in the water. Okay. I'm hoping this will get past that stage. I'm kind of feeling optimistic about it. So I'm researching a lot to do with nuns at the moment, and it's historical fiction again. Okay. And it'll be set between the 1950s, the 1920s and let's say 1960, 1959, 1960. So I'm really enjoying that. And so I'll show you some of the books I'm doing there now. So this is the one I've just finished reading. It's called The Nun's Story. It's actually out of print for years and years, because the lady, it was an international bestseller at the time, Kathryn Hulme. The rights of it were divided out in her will, and they went kind of disappeared. Well, some of her personal items had gone to family, and some had gone to some nuns, right, who untraceable, and just the rights disappeared and that. And to be honest, when you read the book, you probably think they probably didn't want it to go back into print, because it's quite critical of the nun's life and that. So that's one book. And the film of that has starred Audrey Hepburn, and she won an Oscar.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm actually watching it at the moment. I've downloaded now, so I'm going to watch that this evening. And then I've just watched Black Narcissus last week, and that's really good as well. Ooh. And because a part of mine will be set in, let's say, the missions in probably North India, you know, Black Narcissus was perfect for that. The exact same kind of setting and same era. Black Narcissus was filmed in 1947. So again, they're the timeline, the Nun's Story 1959, they're really coming in around that time. But also Women in Praise of the Sacred. Okay. That's 43 centuries of spiritual poetry by women. So that's really going back to before 2000 BC. And, you know, it's about from the mystics and from the poets, all different religions. And that's really cool. And let me see then. Then I've ordered 2 books. One is Margaret MacCurtain is an Irish woman, Cork-based, and she's 91 now, and she's a sister as well. And she's written from Dublin to New Orleans. And she wrote the foreword as well to another book called Breaking the Silence, Religious Women and Their History. Now, really enjoying it. However, I have to be so careful not to get caught up too much in the facts. You know, you can kill the joy of the creative, the imagination, when you kind of get caught up in the detail. You know what I'm saying? So I have to be a bit careful. But the brilliant thing about this phase, which is where I'm in now, which is the beginning of putting things on paper, is the way it comes to you. Like, so you could be driving along, like this happened to me the other day with Take That song, right? I'm not a fan of Take That. They're grand, lovely looking boys, but, and I like some of their tunes or whatever, they're fine. But I was driving along, Take That O'Brien, and next thing the tears were flowing. There was one particular song, and it just so resonated with a particular part of my story, that the emotion of that part of my story came out, and I realised, and I actually take note of that. So I noticed that happened with me with the last book I wrote as well, that music had a huge part to play to help me get there. And could be Macklemore, it could be anything, you know.
Once something resonates,
it just resonates, and it's telling in its story something you're trying to tell in yours maybe. So like yesterday happened again, the Flaming Lips, Yoshima, Yoshima battles the pink robots, right? Wow. Just, you know, as soon as I was re-listening to it, and I went, oh my God, that's my story. Like, you know, so that's the part I love about it, you know, before you get onto it. Like, there's so much heartbreak in writing, so much that you have to get rid of, and so much that sometimes never sees the light of day. And some of it's just you fighting yourself all the time, internal war, battlefields and that. But this part I do enjoy. You know, researching, and
that really comes across actually that you love research.
Yeah, watching something like totally daft and it comes in. But the only problem is, and I'm going to tell you now what I'm about to start reading. I have to be so careful at this stage. For me, everyone's different. Everyone does their own thing.
Yes.
If I was writing the Watsons, when I was watching, if I had, or the Longbourn Letters, if I'd been watching Harry Potter, for example, in the middle of that, right, a witch or a wizard would have turned up in the middle of the story in Regency costume. That's how influenced I am. You just don't know where to go. If I
would read that.
Movie, if I was watching a Star Wars movie, next thing you know, Darth Vader could end up in my book. But they often do end up, like in some shape or form. Like if you base a character on a modern person or something like that, or a character from another whatever. One character in the Watsons is based on Blackadder, Blackadder, totally 100% on him from a visual, like, so I had the visual, like I actually cut it out and put it on visual board to keep me on track with, his personality. So it just kind of keeps me, so I suppose it's visual and it's audio. There's all these things that feed into it, which is really interesting.
Wow.
These are the two books I'm just about to start reading. I just got them the other day. So one is this one.
Oh yes, the paper bracelet.
Yeah. And I think it's coming out in paperback in July. So I'm lucky to have that version of it, the trade paperback. And the second one is Adele. Probably have that one, the Cassidy book. And I think I'm safe with them because there's the historical fiction, there's the, like this is based on Fred Astaire's sister. There's just that era, I suppose. Like I'll be watching Citizen Kane now as well because it touches on my story as well. So I haven't watched that in years. So I just have to be so careful. It's okay. If I chose instead of Citizen Kane to watch, I don't know, something else anyway, Normal People. Let's say it could anything right. Book. But I was watching Normal People. I loved it. It's one of the best things.
Haven't. I must check it out because every conversation that I've had about books so far, somebody's brought up Normal People.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Had strong opinion. No, but it's good because everybody has a different take on it and everybody has strong opinions on it.
Yeah.
So
have you read the book yourself, Caterina?
No, I haven't. And the more I hear about it, the more I'm inclined to go. I've been reading very light things, like things that don't, because I've been working the whole time and because I've been working on the video projects, I haven't had as much free time as everyone else, which is fine because I have this need to feel productive. But so I haven't been reading tons.
Okay.
And
well, I'll tell you, here's my version of Normal People. First of all, I often don't read award-winning books because I feel they're too intellectual for me.
Same.
Like my daughter pointed out, you're doing your video in front of the books to try and look smart, mommy. I said, yeah, that's true. People assume you're a great reader, and I'm not a great reader. I'm not a reader. I don't find I have the time. And not only is it about time, but my taste is often non-fiction. And dare I say, books about meditation and yoga and various different things. So I try and mix it up a bit. But I am a member of a book club, Uncle Tom's Book Club. It's great. Book club here locally. And Normal People came up. And I was avoiding, as I say, because she'd won awards and stuff. And that happens sometimes that I just am a bit like, okay, I'll get around to it, but maybe it's too intelligent for me, and that's the truth. And so I picked it up because it was a book club book. And it was the first book I listened to via audio.
Okay.
And I hadn't listened to anything via audio before. I do think audio is fantastic. I think, though, sometimes the voice doesn't, maybe match the book. It so did in Normal People. It actually was brilliantly narrated, and I was hooked from the get-go. So I did love the story, and I just said to myself, that'll never hit the screen. They can't do anything with that. But I know Lenny Abrahamson's work, and I think, God, when I heard he was taking it on, I said, well, anyone can do it just as he can, but I can't see how you can do it. I still can't see how you can do it. It's so inner monologue-y kind of, it's not inner monologues, but it's like really breaks things down to minute detail. So I have to say, I thought it was done really, really well. And I really enjoyed it. But I suffer a little bit from insomnia. And I have to laugh because my husband thinks that I'm watching Normal People every Monday night. And I sit down and watch it, like with my cup of tea and everything like that, but he doesn't know that I actually watched the whole series already one night when I couldn't sleep. Do you know what I mean? I had nothing else to be doing. So I watched the whole lot.
Why not?
It'll be interesting now to see if he's watching this video of me. He'll know then. And I bet he'll only pretend he's watched it. So that was that. And then, then North and South was something I had never watched before. Now, North and South, for people of my age, right, and older, was a big hit in the 80s from this American Civil War thing. But that isn't the North and South I'm talking about. I'm talking about Elizabeth Gaskell.
Yes. I love it. I love it. It's I watched it early in lockdown. I was like, I need comfort TV.
Yeah.
That's what I put on.
Yeah. Oh my God, Richard Armitage. Anyway, at the I have to say I just loved it. I absolutely loved it. So that exactly. I have to say I've been going very light-handed on the reading and what I'm watching and stuff over this past couple of months and whatever. I'm not anyway someone that watches horrors. I'm not really able for autopsies and, thrillers that are very gory. I'm, Poirot and, Jeeves and Wooster. That's me. I can go for the light stuff and that. But no, North and South, I couldn't believe I hadn't seen it up to now from 2004. So I love that. It was brilliant. So that kind of it's kind of that little bit. So I'm a bit like yourself. I'm working. I have a little tiny bit of extra time, and it's probably because of the stretch in the evening and that. I can go for my walk late in the evening, and my kids aren't going to school and doing homework and all, like as in they're doing it at home. So there isn't that kind of come home at 6 o'clock in the evening, put on a dinner,
yes,
showers, all that kind of stuff. There's things are happening during the day so that the evenings are free when I do come home from work. And there's just less driving, less running and racing and that. So there is time to watch these kind of programs. But there are more, but at the moment I'm just sticking with the research. So I'll probably watch The Nuns with Audrey Hepburn this evening.
Lovely.
And Sunday I tend to do maybe the Antiques Roadshow as well, stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
I'm stuck in the past,
Why not?
So exactly, why not?
If you have found your groove, then you're good,
Yeah, that's be my recommendation to anyone is... nothing gives you comfort. Like, it doesn't matter. There's nothing like finding your tribe, really and truly. Like, I know I am beyond beyonds a nerd when it comes to Jane Austen, and I know facts about Jane Austen and whatever. I can hold my own in a conversation with even Niall MacMonagle would be a big Jane Austen fan, and he's come to some things as well. Like, and he knows he's Austen, but like having a conversation with him is great, But the thing is, when you have like people from all over the world in these Austen groups who are like, there's constantly on the Jane Austen fan club on Facebook, constant replaying of all the Austen movies and anything that was a spin-off from it. Austen Land, Lost in Austen, Pride and Prejudice Zombies, everything. So it's always there. So again, the middle of the night, if I'm not sleeping well, I could be watching Bride and Prejudice, which is the Bollywood movie.
I've seen it.
You saw recently.
Love it.
Loved it. I couldn't get over it. I thought, oh my God, how had I not seen this until recently?
And
so
there's a song. There's a song in the end of it, near the end of it, and I don't know if actually you're probably the same as me because you're so easily influenced. So sometimes when I'm walking around the bookshop, the title of a book will stick out and it will remind me of a lyric in a song.
Okay.
There's a book on the balcony in front of my desk. I don't know if it's there at the moment, and whatever it's called reminds me of that song. And then I realized for the next hour I'm singing that song.
All right, okay.
It's just mad.
Absolutely.
It's great.
But that's it. What else is there? Like, I mean, really and truly, if baking is your thing or whatever, my husband does these scale models. There's actually a big cabinet of them here now in front of me.
Wow.
So my kids are starting to do those kind of things as well, little scale model things, like, nerdy to some, but I'm telling you how much joy it brings to you. Like, whatever your thing is, find your people and reach out or just do it in,
That's it. Do what you need to do to get through this, and that's
but
it.
There's so much, exactly, and there's so much comfort in that. And to be honest with you, I think some people, we were so rushing and racing. We had so many have tos and shoulds
Yes.
That, as I say, when we were unplugged from the wall, we realised the haftas and shoulds maybe have been in our heads all along. Maybe there were no haftas or shoulds, or very few. And we actually have time now to, you know, reflect or get around it. Look, how many people have been doing DIY projects? Houses are, like this morning, I spent the whole day, we spent the whole morning pulling ivy off this shed that's been there for 14 years. We've said we were going to pull it off. We actually did it today because, you know, we should have done it, and we, you know, but we were so busy. That's the way we would, our excuses, but we weren't really.
Cool.
You know.
So tell me, what are you looking forward to when we can move freely and go back and doing the things that we can't do at the moment? What are you most looking forward to?
Most looking forward to? Look, I'm gonna be honest.
Go on.
Very honest. Most people are going to say things like getting the hair done, the beauty salons and all that sort of thing, or, you know, friends and family, naturally. And I would say friends and family, of course. However, early in life, like, well, I'd say from the age of 15 to 30, I had an ex-boyfriend who called me a social maniac. I was a social maniac. I was never not in other people's company. And everything was about friends. Everything was about partying. Everything was about just people, non-stop, morning, noon, night. And I was crazy. But the truth is, I'm actually an introvert. And I work in a very social job. So I meet hundreds of people one end of the week. You know, I meet huge amounts of people. I'm between 5 centres. I drive a lot, move a lot. You know, I'm always meeting people, and I'm good with people, and I love people. But the funny thing for me is there has to be a lot of retreating. That's where the walks come in. You know, I don't want, like, the odd time I go for a walk with a friend of mine, but mostly I like to walk on my own because I love looking in over ditches of cows and getting my thoughts in place and all that sort of thing. I find it very therapeutic. I find it great for your mental health. I find you can leave angry and come home totally, you know, resolved and relaxed and what have you. So I think walks are very, very important for that. You know, just something about walking is really important for me anyway. So the thing is, there's parts of that I didn't miss the way I see other people missing it, probably because I'm still out working and I'm meeting colleagues and that.
Yes.
So I'm not maybe as lonesome as I feel some people are. Now, my sister, who is a total social maniac, and speaking, she loves me, but she is missing company so much. And do you know what I mean? I really would love to meet her for a big walk and that. Now we're in touch and everything, but family, really, family first, and friends, of course. Well, friends, we've been staying in touch, you know, on WhatsApp and that, but I think just really, especially my parents and that, just being able to hug people and, you know, just spend time with them.
Of course.
I have a friend that I often meet for a cup of tea in her house and just have a chat and stuff like that. I miss that, I do.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I'll miss, do you know what I'll miss? Is the few bob I'm saving on childcare and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, I'm saving that petrol.
Yeah, petrol, exactly. And the price of it coming down, I'll miss all that when that's gone as well.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah.
But that's lovely. But yeah, no, it is nice. And I mean, same as yourself now, it's my nieces and nephews that I'm looking forward to seeing again, especially because I have a niece now. She's going to be only 7 months on Tuesday. You know,
wow.
So she'll have doubled in size from March.
Oh my God, easily. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
But yeah. And eating a dinner out in a restaurant.
I agree. Now,
Yes.
I really wasn't doing it as often as I could, but I actually like going out for a coffee, again, on my own. You see, I'm a bit of a weirdo that way. You know, I like, it doesn't happen very often, but I think when I was writing, that was it. I used to go maybe to a cafe and write for a little while, and I miss that. You know, I had a few places that I liked to go to and write, and I'd sit there for maybe 2 hours, and the staff, 2 or 3 hours, and the staff kind of looking at me there with my 1 cup or maybe my 2 cups of coffee or whatever, tea. No, so I do miss that. But I miss, yeah, I do. I was organising some events, I don't know if you recall. They were up at number 1 Perry Square. They were kind of like Women of Yore. There was the Georgian afternoon tea, the Victorian afternoon tea, and we had another one planned for June, which isn't obviously going ahead, but it was a quite exciting one too, and it was kind of dipping into film and different various connections and stuff like that, and it was lovely. So I'm qualified event manager as well.
Lovely.
As you know, I work as a job coach, but I'm a qualified event manager, and I've organised events, and it's probably the Jane Austen Festival in 2017 that I organised in Limerick, and those other events, as well as other bits and bobs I was involved in. There's that side of me that loves doing that as well, so I nearly can't help myself. I'm looking forward to kind of getting something else there as well, up and running, so maybe again.
Maybe 2021?
So maybe 2021. Who knows? Just thought of something as a thing I, was watching, and I just have to bow to her, is a lady called Melissa Shields, who I've worked with several times. She put out something through the National Library of Ireland on their Facebook page. It was a live video for 1 hour on how to get dressed, what the etiquette for afternoon tea was back in the 1800s and that. And it went viral, like, within a few hours she had 6,500 views or something like that. Like, it went like brilliant. So things like that are really wonderful and accessible when you often had to maybe pay to go to an event before.
Yes.
This kind of online forum or platform or whatever is just been fantastic for getting, there was other ones as well of favourite authors of mine and that I was watching and listening to, and I knew I couldn't possibly have gone to that event, but here I was listening to them online instead, and that's just been fab.
It's amazing how generous people have been with their creativity and their work like that. You would normally have to pay to go and see, but the amount of shows that are out there, it's phenomenal.
Yeah. And David Williams, in fairness to him, I heard him on Ryan Tubridy the other day. I'm really a big fan of his. And my kids, like, it's been the absolute centre of their day, every day. David Williams puts a few chapters of particular books up, and he's been running them kind of back to back. And it's been right since the beginning of the thing. It was like, free online for kids. And every day, they listen to it in the morning when they're getting dressed. And then that night they like to re-listen to it again. When they're before going to bed, and then they read a bit and that. But to be honest with you, now that I think of it, reading actually for my kids has been amazing.
Good.
During the lockdown. Like, they really have taken to reading, and it's been fantastic, But like, brilliant. Yeah, it's wonderful to see them reading so much.
It's fab. But we can see it even in the shop, the amount of orders that have been coming in. Like, it's just been phenomenal, I mean, the website was already, running along, but from that first week, it just took off. And that's literally what we've been doing. It's being intense because, there was only a couple of us in there. So I ended up, I can't run at the moment because I exacerbated a little niggle that I'd been ignoring because of the amount of walking that I was doing in the shop. It's just... It's been amazing. And it's people supporting a local business. I mean, it's just been lovely. Yeah. It's been lovely. Yeah. The positive messages that have been coming in.
Yeah. Fantastic. No, the people would surprise you with how amazing they are. And, I think this has been one example. And I really want to hold on to that as we come out of it, because as we come out of it is where the finger pointing happens, or the fear kicks in, and the blame, and the who should pay for what, and we go back into a place of control and fear and whatever. So what we have to see is the instinct that actually kicked in. The natural knee-jerk reaction was very much about others, like, and putting on, there was so much love out there. It was really incredible, so yeah.
So hopefully we can, as you say, cling on to that as we slowly exit. Yeah. Rose,
just don't bring the tools back too soon. I say that to I'm not able first, not able. No. I just don't want to go now that I've seen, I really have seen that I was running and racing too much. Like that, the stress even in that, and the amount of lack of control you feel you have. Now that it's, as I say, I've seen that there was elements of it that I could control. I've even seen parts of the day that if I could tweak them now, as we go back, they will add so much more, ease to our lives as a family and stuff like that. Just, that's it really. So I think I've learned a lot,
Good.
As a result of it.
Yeah. Hopefully we all have,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, we'd better wrap this up. Gosh, that time just flew, as it does when you're enjoying a conversation.
Yeah.
But Rose, thanks so much for coming on.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Oh no, it's always a pleasure. Sure, look, I always love when you're passing by my desk and stop for a chat.
Yeah.
So it's just a new way.
Have a chat. Yeah, thank you.
So, but sure, look, we'll be able to do that again soon because, you know, as I said, we're reopening next week. So there will be a Perspex screen in front of us, but
yes,
we'll still be able to have a chat.
Yeah, okay, good.
Be great.
Thanks ever so much, Caterina.
Thank you. And we'll talk soon.
We'll talk soon.
Bye.